Hi everybody and welcome back to Lost Genre Reddit Stories. This post is from the subreddit Relationship Advice and it's by user Throwaway Divorce Mess. My wife, 32 female, got very upset that I, 31 male, told the truth about our relationship to my two best friends, 30 male and 30 male. She says I care too much and place too much emphasis on our therapy, and I feel she's in denial about how bad everything is. Any advice? My wife, let's call her Amy, and I have been together for 4 years, living together for 2, and married for 1. I can go on and on about the beauty our relationship has had. There's a reason I moved practically across the US for her, much to the shock of my two best friends. Let's call them Jeff and Adam, both 30 male. So it's safe to say that we have our good moments, and there's a lot of things that connect us, and I really could see a future with her. There was a lot of growing into each other over time and a lot we endured to get to the point where I felt good to move in together. I get along with her family very well, her friends very well. It felt like we meshed seamlessly. Then it hit a huge wall. A rough year hit us when Amy's mom got really ill, to the point we weren't sure if she was going to make it or not. She ended up recovering, thankfully. The whole family rallied around her. All of this on top of Amy's stressful work. Finance worker, led her to tell me one night after she uncharacteristically got really mad at me that she was severely depressed, to the point I was worried about her well-being. This led to a fallout between us where she refused to get help, started to even deny that she was depressed in the first place, refused to talk about it and get angry at me for bringing any of it up or keep suggesting therapy, and just turned cold to me. After a while, it got so emotionally manipulative, she mentioned that if I were to leave, she would grab her sharpest thing she can find when I wasn't there. It got bad, to the point where I made sure the proper support was around her at the time, made sure 2 trusted family members knew the situation, and then just left. Now, I know what you're thinking. Why the F are you back in this position then, and why doesn't the story just end there with divorce? Because I let her reel me back in, and I thought that maybe if we actually did the therapy like we were supposed to, we can fix things, which she so brazenly threw in my face that I was the one that gave up. I was the one who left that night, even though she never wanted to even try therapy until that point. I'll admit, in that moment, I felt so guilty it overwhelmed me, as if I was a failure for not doing enough, so I came back. Here we are. Therapy is not working, because lo and behold, she still doesn't show up. She only showed up for the very first appointment and nothing after, and doesn't do any of the stuff the therapist recommends at home. I can't really talk to anyone else because in her mind, the most important thing that makes her happy is me being here and us doing crap like watching TV and playing with the dogs and hanging out with people who still have no clue what's actually going on. Adam and Jeff care a lot about me, and we have all been good friends for almost 10 effing years at this point. They were the first to know when I first left what really happened, and they are asking me if things are now getting any better, and I told them the truth, that no, they're not. On the surface it seems fine, but underneath no work is being done in actuality because she likes to pretend it never happened. She always asked when she knows I talked to Adam or Jeff what we talked about and if we talked about how our relationship is doing because she doesn't like me talking about it, and sometimes I skate around it, but this time I say we did and I told them the truth. She got upset and went into her feelings like she'll never be good enough and that I overvalue therapy as a basis for how our relationship is doing. She doesn't like to acknowledge how effed up I am mentally still over everything, and even more, how effed up she still is. Any advice on what to do other than to just pack my bags at this point for good? Well, OP, no, I actually think you should just pack your bags at this point for good. You already did that once. She reeled you back in with lies and manipulation, and now she's just denying anything and basically gaslighting you at every point. She clearly doesn't want to do any of the work. So what are you going to do? You can't do the work for her, and you're clearly stressed and you're not enjoying your life. This is not right. You are not in a healthy relationship. And again, she clearly does not want to change the status quo. So the only thing that can change is you being there. I'm sorry, OP, but it's time for you to leave. And what do you guys think? Let me know in the comment section, and now let's check out the community comments. No Concentrate 9154 says, this reads like manipulation. Signs like the threat of self-harm if you leave, isolating you from familial support by encouraging to move to a far distance for her, and avoidance in bringing in any third party like therapists. She dislikes you sharing with friends because it runs the risk that she loses control of the narrative. Friends, family, and therapists can end up exposing trapping patterns she meticulously designed to keep you invested in the abusive dynamic. You did nothing wrong in talking with friends. Bleacher Blonde says, don't let her cut you off from two people who care about you. She's embarrassed because she knows that people outside the relationship will see and know how effed up and manipulative she's being. They care about you and they will help you realize you are seeing things through rose-colored glasses and hopefully wake you up. Wake up, OP. You said it yourself. Toxic and manipulative. She doesn't want to change. She won't even admit she has a problem. You can't fix her if she won't fix herself. And people who threaten to end themselves when they don't get their way, man, that's effed up. And you can't fix her, and she doesn't want to fix herself because she doesn't see the problem. She only sees what she wants and how to get it. Doesn't matter how. You need to get out, and you know it. Red Light 0516 says, she doesn't give a crap about making anything better, she just wants to sweep it under the rug. Your mistake here was that you came back under no conditions. You just hoped she would do the work once you were back. All you've taught her is that her behavior is acceptable and you'll come back regardless of what she does. So if you want to make this work, you actually will never be able to do that while you're together. You need to be doing therapy while separated. You need to have a discussion about what each of you expects, not just you, to improve before you're willing to entertain the relationship again, and you need to hold her accountable to your expectations. And South Ad 9635 says, imagine you are 80 years old and your life has been just like it is now for all that time. What would you wish you had done now? Opie's edit. For those asking or wondering, yes, she did get on medication after I had originally left because the two trusted family members convinced her she had a problem. She still denies things ever getting as bad as they did and doesn't like thinking about it anymore, as if to just want to bury it in the past, and is mad at me for not being willing to do that even though it's still so fresh in my mind. Well, the community has certainly given OP a lot to think about from various different angles, but mostly people are highlighting the manipulation going on here and that something needs to be done because this isn't healthy. So now, let's move on to the first of two updates to see what happened next. Figured I would give an update to the situation since it got a lot messier. After that post, I took some time to try and really process everything I was feeling. Her sister hosted a Christmas party which we attended, and it was a good change of pace. Amy enjoyed it, so that was nice, and I do enjoy being with her family, so it was good to see them. Fast forward a few days after, Amy and I were going grocery shopping, and on the way back, I was thinking of our next therapy session that I had scheduled. I talked to Adam and Jeff, my two best friends from the previous post, about how I was going to use this session to really see how much hope there is to have for our future, and really lay my emotions completely on the table about the hurt and damage I feel that's been hard to talk to her about because our communication degraded. Thinking about the session got me really stressed, and knowing it was coming soon had affected my mood, and Amy could tell I was feeling low, so she asked me what was up. I told her I would rather talk about it later, but she said she wanted to talk about it now. I told her that I was feeling stressed and overwhelmed with the upcoming therapy session, and thinking about it brings back a lot of bad memories, and it's just been a hard day for me so far because of that. It was at this point she told me she didn't think this was going to work and that she wanted a divorce. At that point, a mixture of numbness and heartache really hit, because on one hand, I feel like I was questioning on whether staying was best or not, and another, it was still a painful ripping out of my heart because I still love her a lot. It was a pretty silent car ride after that, and I thought, well, the next move is now clear. As we got home, I pretty much said goodbye to our dogs and said I'll start looking into the process and I want to make the divorce as painless as possible. Then, she said that she wanted to go to the therapy session. This confused the F out of me because she just told me we were done and that she wanted a divorce, and it felt like she was playing with my heart at that point. I was resistant to it, and she asked me why I wasn't willing to give it another chance, and I told her, you just broke up with me. Our therapist is a nice lady and said, regardless of what happens, come to the session to hash things out. It was pretty illuminating for her, but at the same time, it felt raw and effed up for me to even be there. She's telling me now that she's ready to do whatever it takes to be better, but I think I can't trust anything she says anymore. So I'll be staying with Adam for the meantime, as I told him what happened and he offered for me to crash at his place for a bit while I figure things out. Yeah, OP, this is totally effed up, manipulative, and emotionally abusive. You need to get out of that relationship as soon as possible. Now she's ready to work on everything after she put divorce on the table, told you it wasn't going to work, and then she flip-flopped on therapy. You know what? F all this. You need to get out. So now, let's move on to the final update to see how this story ends. The divorce is going to happen, and it's been a brutal time for me. I was staying at Adam's place, collecting my thoughts and figuring things out. As I was with Adam, she texted me saying that there was an urgent emergency and that I needed to call her. I picked up fearing that she was hurt or one of our dogs was gravely ill all of a sudden, and it turned out there was no emergency, but that she wanted to just hear my voice again and that she misses me. I questioned her as to why she would lie about there being an emergency, and she said that for her it was an emergency. She then asked if I wanted to talk about what the future is going to look like, and I told her that I would rather have that conversation face to face and would be back at the house soon. She then goes on and says that this is what she mainly called about, and asks if I have been dating anyone during this time and that she absolutely had to know, and I told her no, obviously not. It was really hard to see her, and during the drive over to our old place, my heart wavered a lot, so I tried to remain resolute in my mind. When we had actually began to discuss things properly, she had actually told me that she feels like right now, neither of us should be in a relationship, and she was speaking extremely clearly, making me think that this was something she was resolute about also. She told me that she felt like she was always tiptoeing with me on what to say around me in fear of hurting my feelings or me getting stressed. Yikes, this woman is a pro. I told her that I wasn't here to fight or argue over feelings or who's right or wrong, but to just acknowledge the state of the situation, that this relationship is broken, and if she feels this way and I feel the way I do, then it's time for us to close this chapter of our life, and that I don't resent her or have ill will towards her, and I just want her to be happy and for us both to be happy. She then asks if I would consider ever trying again with her in the future, and if this chapter of our lives is fully closed or if we could leave it open. I told her I don't think so, and for the health of both of us, in the sense of moving on and focusing on ourselves, it's best to close it. She didn't like that answer and was sad, of course, as was I, but it felt like the right thing to say. When we talked about how we would split the assets, etc., who takes the pets, etc., she told me that she felt emotionally abused by me, and that was a hard sentence to stomach. I told her that I'm not going to argue or invalidate your feelings on that, and I'm sorry if I ever made you feel that way, but if that's how you feel, then this is the right step for us to take. It was hard saying goodbye. It still doesn't exactly feel real to me, and I think I've just been numb the past month. It's been one of the hardest months of my life. I needed to try and find an apartment for the time being. It's been difficult to find a place, but after a lot of trial and error and nights where I felt like I was just going to be sleeping in my car for a while, I ended up finding one in a city that I am not really familiar with, but thought it could be a new start. With this winter storm, it hasn't been exactly the best of starts, and I'm feeling extremely isolated and alone, but I'm trying to move on. As for Amy, she called me sobbing and told me to reconsider again after our last conversation, that she's owning up to the fact that she has trauma and that there's been a lot of damage done and that she's sorry. I told her I am sorry too, that I know I wasn't always perfect and that I will always care for her. However, it isn't going to work, and I told her not to be alone right now and that she has a ton of support in her corner from her family and close friends who all care a lot about her. That was the last time we spoke as of now. It's been horrible recently for me mentally, but I'm just trying to fight for the next day, thinking that hopefully I'll come out of this okay. Thanks to everyone who has been commenting and showing support. I probably won't post again. OP, if you're feeling isolated and in a new city, you need a support system. You need to communicate with friends. If you can't leave, use FaceTime or whatever. Also, seek a therapist who can help you work through this because honestly, this woman did a job on you. The way she flipped it around later and said that you were emotionally abusing her, disgusting. Another thing I would do if you haven't done yet is go get a divorce attorney, block her, and send her an email that all communication to you must go through an attorney. The only way that you are going to come out of this okay is if you absolutely remove her from your life. So here's wishing you the best, OP. Thanks for sharing and take care. And now let's move on to the next post that also has an update. This post is from the subreddit True Off My Chest and it's by user Fox103. I accidentally found out what my dad really did for me when I was a kid. I'm 24. Went back to my hometown last week to help my parents clean the house because they want to move. In the garage, I found a random dusty box with my name on it. Old notebooks, stupid drawings, school stuff, and one envelope. Didn't even care at first, but opened it. It was a letter from my old elementary school saying I would get removed because tuition wasn't paid for almost a year. That kinda messed with my head. Growing up, I never felt like we were that poor. No fancy life, but also no panic. Dad worked as a mechanic, Mom did random jobs. I always thought everything was okay enough. Behind that letter was a note from my dad to the school. Quote, "Please give me some time. I sold my car this week. I'll bring the money in parts if I have to. Just don't make her feel different from other kids." End quote. I didn't even know he sold his car. When I was a kid, I remember being annoyed he suddenly walked to work every day. Other dads drove their kids. Mine didn't. I thought he was just cheap or stubborn. Turns out he wasn't. I literally sat on the garage floor for a few minutes just staring at that paper. Later, I asked him about it. He laughed and said, "Yeah, that car sucked anyway." And that was it. No drama, no story time, just changed topic. Kinda crazy how parents hide stuff so you don't have to feel it. Still thinking about it. Well, OP, you've got a dad, a real one, the one that understood the assignment. And that's it, it's just love. There's no look for praise or recognition or anything like that. It's just what you do as a parent, anything you have to so your kid can move forward. And that's regardless of how old you may be, he's always gonna look out for you. Now, if you feel like doing anything, just go to him, give him a strong hug, say, "I love you and thanks for everything." And believe me, that is something he will never forget. And what do you guys think? Let me know in the comment section, and now let's move on to the update. I honestly didn't expect my last post to get so much attention. I really just wanted to share something small that stayed with me. Thank you to everyone who left such kind comments. I read a lot of them more than once. Some people asked what happened after, so I figured I'd add a little update. I did ask my dad about the letter. Nothing dramatic, I just brought it up. He laughed, said the car was terrible anyway, and immediately changed the subject. That's how he's always been. He never liked talking about sacrifices or being seen as someone who struggled. What I didn't mention before is that because I was able to stay in school, things worked out pretty well for me. I got my education, I have a job I genuinely like, and I'm doing okay now. Better than okay, honestly. I've been saving money for a while. I'm almost at the point where I can afford to buy a car. I don't think I'll explain why, I'll just say I found a good deal. That feels right somehow. It's strange realizing how much your parents hide from you so you don't have to feel the weight of it. I thought I understood that when I was younger, but I don't think I really did until now. Thanks again for reading and for being so kind. I didn't expect any of this. Well, OP, congratulations. It sounds like things are going great, and it sounds like you've got a really nice relationship with your dad too. So here's wishing you both the best. Thanks for sharing and take care. And now let's finish this video with a mood booster post. This post is from the subreddit Petty Revenge and it's by user Slapworks. Ex's husband can't seem to get over me. So I dated a girl long distance for a year back in 2010. We broke up rather amicably, or so I thought. Her new boyfriend, now her husband, called me about a month later telling me that she had been seeing him behind my back and that she never really loved me, etc. Personally, I laughed it off. I knew the relationship wasn't going anywhere and I had been looking for an easy out for months. Being long distance made it much easier, but apparently it made him feel good about himself. Fast forward a few years, they're married and he's traveling for work, which included a layover in my city. He posted something about me from the airport and tagged a mutual friend of mine, so I saw the post. Something along the lines of, "Mr. Steal Your Girl Back in Your City." I know it was about me because the friend he tagged asked what he was talking about and he mentioned me. Apparently, he has made several posts like this, both before and after I saw this one. I haven't seen or talked to either my ex or him since about a month after he called me years ago, during which there were several petty interactions. However, the fact that I was still on his mind after a few years, thinking that he had won some sort of competition against me, got my petty revenge thoughts brewing. I mean, he thinks it's a petty competition, so why not step up to the plate and take a few metaphorical swings? On this occurrence, I looked through his socials and noticed they were living in my ex's house, so I knew the address. I also knew that you can sign people to be visited by Jehovah's Witnesses. Fast forward another few months, there's a new post about him having to deal with Jehovah's Witnesses coming to his door 8 times in a month. Well, Opie, I guess if we had to pick a winner between you two, not that we have to, it'd definitely be you. I mean, you already started winning by living rent-free in his head for years without actually having to do anything. And now this just doubles down on your winning. Thanks for sharing, OP.